The unveiling, a journey to inner perception, the invitation to a deeper reality. You are on the brink of discovering something truly profound, a revelation that could fundamentally alter your perception of everything, yourself, the world around you, and even the very fabric of time. This isn't merely another fleeting spiritual technique or a superficial self-help strategy. What you are about to uncover was once a closely guarded secret, meticulously protected by ancient teachers and wisdom keepers, concealed behind intricate layers of mystery and sacred secrecy. For millennia, only a select few, those deemed worthy and trustworthy, were ever initiated into this profound knowledge. And now, through a confluence of circumstances, it has somehow found its way to you. Is this mere coincidence, or is there a grander design at play, a deeper calling beckoning you towards something more? Within the core of every human being lies a forgotten ability, an innate inner vision that transcends the limitations of what our physical eyes can perceive. You've likely experienced glimpses of it before, those inexplicable moments when you simply knew something without any logical explanation of how that knowledge arrived. Perhaps you felt an intense gaze across a crowded room and the person turned to look at you instantly. Or maybe you had a vivid dream that later unfolded precisely in your waking life. These weren't random flukes or mere chance occurrences. They were fleeting glimpses, subtle flickers of a deeper awareness, an inherent knowing already intricately woven into the very fabric of your being. This extraordinary gift has always been present, quietly awaiting your conscious recognition, patiently waiting for you to notice its subtle presence. And now, for reasons you may not yet fully comprehend, the timing feels unequivocally right. It's as if a door, whose existence you hadn't even realized, is finally swinging open, inviting you to step through. But here's the crucial understanding. Once you step through this threshold, once you embrace this expanded perception, there is no turning back to your old way of seeing. Your perception of reality will irrevocably shift, transforming your understanding of existence forever. The dual realities, seen and unseen worlds. Did you know that two distinct realities are unfolding simultaneously around you, coexisting in every moment? One is the tangible world you perceive with your physical senses, the world of forms, sounds, and textures. The other is a subtle, unseen dimension, a realm of energy, intuition, and deeper connections. You navigate between these two worlds constantly, moving fluidly from one to the other, though you may only be consciously aware of one at any given time. Consider it like entering a vast, intricate building with two primary entrances. One door leads to the familiar, everyday world of routine, responsibilities, and visible interactions. The other, often overlooked, opens into a dimension that most people never even suspect exists. A realm brimming with subtle information and profound insights. Throughout history, certain individuals, mystics, shamans, sages, and enlightened beings have learned how to consciously navigate both of these realities, not through magic or fantastical powers, but through cultivating a skill as natural and fundamental as breathing itself. These individuals were not born inherently special or uniquely gifted. They simply remembered how to access what the vast majority of humanity has collectively forgotten, an innate capacity for expanded perception. This ability is not supernatural in the sense of being beyond nature. On the contrary, it is an intrinsic part of your very being, designed to awaken and flourish. And here's the most compelling part. Something deep within you is already stirring, responding to this truth. You feel it, don't you? That subtle, persistent pull towards something more. Something beyond the mundane. It's like a distant memory trying desperately to surface, or a beautiful melody just beyond your conscious grasp. That feeling, that inner nudge, is not an accident. It is a powerful signal, a gentle whisper from the part of you that knows, with unwavering certainty, that there is far more to life than what merely meets the eye. It is the call of your deeper self, inviting you to remember the innate gift, your inner vision. Imagine possessing a second set of eyes, not positioned on your face, but residing deep within your being. A profound way of seeing that doesn't rely on physical light or external lenses, but operates through the pure channels of intuition, profound insight, and heightened awareness. This isn't a concept from science fiction or a fantastical tale. Every single night as you drift into slumber, you effortlessly utilize this very power in your dreams. In fact, within the boundless landscape of your dreams, You experience entire vivid worlds, complete with narratives, characters and emotions, all without moving a single inch of your physical body. How do you think this extraordinary phenomenon occurs? Children, especially infants and toddlers, often tap into this innate ability with remarkable ease and naturalness. Have you ever noticed how babies seem to stare intently at seemingly empty space, sometimes with knowing smiles or expressions of profound curiosity? Or how very young children often speak about things, people or experiences that adults simply cannot perceive? They are not merely imagining things. They are quite simply using the gift they haven't yet been conditioned to unlearn or suppress. Their inner vision remains wide open. Modern science, with its ever-evolving understanding of the human mind, is slowly beginning to catch up with these ancient insights. Studies in neuroscience and psychology increasingly demonstrate that our brains process an astonishing amount of information, far more than we consciously register or acknowledge. You've experienced this yourself, perhaps when you suddenly had an inexplicable feeling that someone was watching you, only to turn around and find their gaze fixed upon you. Or when you thought of a long-lost friend just moments before your phone rang with their name on the screen. These are not mere coincidences. They are powerful moments when your inner vision flickers awake, briefly piercing through the veil of ordinary perception. And now the time has come for you to remember how to consciously keep this inner gateway open, how to cultivate and sustain this profound ability, the 3 pillars of inner awakening. To awaken this innate ability fully, to allow your inner vision to flourish and become a consistent part of your experience, you need a solid foundation. The ancient masters, through centuries of dedicated practice and profound introspection, discovered that 3 core elements must work in perfect synergy, in a harmonious dance, to unlock expanded awareness. Think of them as essential ingredients in a powerful, transformative recipe. If any one of them is missing or out of balance, the entire process loses its potency, and the desired outcome remains elusive. The first pillar is conscious stillness. This is not merely the absence of external noise or quiet surroundings. It is the profound active stillness that resides within the spaces between your thoughts, the sacred pause where the incessant chatter of the mind subsides. It is the untouched space where your truest self resides, beyond the clamor and distractions of everyday thinking. Learning to access this profound silence while remaining fully awake and alert is the fundamental key to unlocking higher perception and deeper insights. The second pillar is sacred breathing. Breathing is an automatic physiological process that we all perform unconsciously, moment by moment. However, when breathing is undertaken with conscious intention, with awareness and purpose, it transforms into a powerful bridge, connecting your physical body, your active mind, and your subtle spirit. Ancient traditions across the globe understood that specific breathing patterns and rhythms could unlock new levels of awareness, shift states of consciousness, and facilitate profound inner experiences. Today, we often refer to it as breathwork, but in ancient times it was revered as a sacred practice, a direct pathway to the divine. The third pillar is directed focus. In a world saturated with endless distractions, where attention is constantly fragmented and pulled in countless directions, maintaining a deep, sustained focus is both rare and incredibly powerful. Imagine the difference between illuminating a wide area with a scattered flashlight beam and concentrating light into a precise laser beam. Scattered light barely affects anything, its energy diffused and weak, but focused energy, like a laser, can cut through metal, reshape materials, and achieve incredible precision. When you learn to combine this kind of unwavering laser-like focus with conscious stillness and intentional sacred breathing, something truly incredible begins to unfold within you. These 3 pillars, conscious stillness, sacred breathing, and directed focus, form the fundamental structure upon which your inner vision is built. Practice them consistently, with patience and dedication, and you will begin to feel the veil thinning, the boundaries between the seen and unseen becoming more permeable, preparing your personal sanctuary. Before diving into the specific techniques that will activate your inner vision, let's talk about preparation. Many people mistakenly believe they need an elaborate setup, candles, incense, crystals, or perfectly serene conditions to begin their inner work. While these elements can certainly help set a mood and create a conducive atmosphere, the real and most profound preparation happens internally, within the sacred space of your own mind. Your mind in its natural state is like a garden that has grown wild over time. Thoughts, emotions, memories, and worries sprout everywhere, tangled and chaotic, often overwhelming the fertile ground. To begin this transformative journey, you don't need to meticulously clean the entire garden at once. You simply need to clear a small dedicated patch, a sacred clearing, where you can plant your intention and nurture your practice. Choose a specific time each day, even if it's just a brief 10-minute window, and commit to it with unwavering consistency. It truly doesn't matter where you are physically, your quiet bedroom, a serene corner of a park, or even a moment of solitude in a bathroom stall during your lunch break. What matters most is your unwavering consistency and your deep commitment to the practice. External noise, fluctuating temperatures, and countless distractions will always be present in the world. The key is to learn to work with them rather than against them. Even the sound of traffic outside your window can become a tool to sharpen your focus, a background hum against which your inner stillness can become more pronounced. Over time, through consistent dedication, your mind will begin to recognize this chosen moment as sacred, a dedicated space for inner work, and the habit of practice will grow stronger, becoming an integral part of your daily rhythm. The SCP breathing ritual. Unlocking expanded awareness. Now we arrive at the very heart of this practice, the core technique for unlocking heightened perception, the SCP breathing ritual. This is far more than just a simple exercise to relax your body or calm your mind. It is a carefully designed doorway, a precise key to unlock heightened perception and deeper states of awareness. Why 7 breaths? Because each conscious breath in this sequence corresponds to a specific level of depth, guiding you progressively inward, deeper into your inner landscape. The first breath is like gently opening a window that has been sealed shut for years, allowing fresh air and light to enter a forgotten room. As you inhale deeply, imagine drawing in a stream of golden light, a radiant symbol of clarity, pure energy, and profound insight. With each slow, deliberate exhale, consciously release any tension, any stress, any mental chatter, as if you are gently blowing dust out of that long-forgotten room, clearing the space. By the second and third breaths, you will begin to notice that your perception of time starts to slow down. Your mind detaches slightly from the usual frantic rush of thoughts, the endless to-do lists, and the external demands. Keep your eyelids heavy and relaxed, but maintain a sharp, alert awareness within. The fourth and fifth breaths are where the real shift begins to happen, where the veil between worlds thins. Some individuals may feel a gentle warmth or a subtle tingling sensation at the center of their forehead, often associated with the third eye area. Others might perceive soft, swirling colors or abstract shapes behind their closed eyes. It's crucial not to chase these experiences or cling to them. Simply observe them with detached curiosity, allowing them to come and go like clouds gracefully passing overhead in the sky. In the final 2 breaths, the 6th and 7th, you enter a profound state of deep calm and heightened alertness. It's a unique threshold, akin to standing at the very edge of sleep, yet remaining completely awake and conscious. This is precisely where the boundary between your ordinary world and the subtle inner worlds becomes incredibly thin. Stay relaxed, trust the process, and surrender to the experience. The inner vision you seek, the expanded perception you desire, will emerge naturally when you are truly ready to receive it, when your inner space is clear and receptive. The blind spot of consciousness, a gateway to the unseen. There exists a peculiar moment, just before the threshold of sleep, when your mind enters a truly unique state, a liminal space that is neither fully awake nor completely asleep. The ancients in their profound wisdom referred to this as the blind spot of consciousness. It is a subtle gap in your continuous awareness, a brief pause in the incessant stream of thoughts that typically dominates your waking hours. Most people transition through this blind spot every single night without ever noticing its presence, without recognizing its profound significance. It's akin to driving through a short tunnel with the lights off. You know something changed, you felt a shift, but you don't consciously remember the precise moment of transition. However, if you begin to cultivate awareness and pay close attention, you will discover that this blind spot is not empty at all. In fact, it is remarkably rich with untapped potential, a fertile ground for insight and creativity. It is the sacred space where thought dissolves into pure stillness, where the rigid grip of identity loosens, and where the perceived boundaries between your individual self and the vast world around you begin to blur and soften. This is not merely a neurological phenomenon, a brief lull in brain activity. It is, unequivocally, a doorway. A subtle one, yes, but a powerful doorway, nonetheless, to deeper dimensions of consciousness. To truly understand this profound space, consider how your mind typically operates. During your waking hours, you are constantly processing an overwhelming amount of information. You are reacting to external stimuli, meticulously planning your future, retrieving memories from your past, and projecting various scenarios. Even in moments of apparent rest, there's a persistent background hum of mental activity, a subtle undercurrent of thought. But in the blind spot, that hum gently fades. For a brief, precious window of time, everything goes quiet. This silence is not forced. It arises naturally, because the intricate machinery of thought has simply paused, momentarily resting. This pause doesn't last long. Within mere seconds, either the embrace of sleep takes over, or you snap back into full wakefulness, re-engaging with the external world. But what transpires in those few fleeting seconds can be profoundly transformative. Many individuals report sudden, brilliant insights emerging from this threshold state. Solutions to problems they hadn't been actively contemplating, forgotten memories resurfacing with vivid clarity, or even powerful imagery that feels more real and significant than ordinary dreams. The key to intentionally accessing this space is not through force or struggle, but through familiarity and gentle observation. It's like learning to discern a faint sound in a noisy room. You have to train yourself to notice the subtle shifts in your awareness, to attune to the nuances of your inner landscape. Begin by paying close attention as you drift off to sleep. Don't fight the natural drowsiness. Allow it to envelop you. Instead of letting go completely into unconsciousness, try to remain present, a conscious observer, as your body relaxes and your mind begins its gentle drift. You may experience sensations of floating or falling, which are common indicators that your brain is shifting frequencies from beta waves, the active waking state, down into alpha and then theta waves. These slower, more expansive rhythms are associated with daydreaming, deep meditation, and the early stages of sleep. They are also intrinsically linked to heightened creativity, profound intuition, and sudden insights. As you begin to recognize these subtle transitions, you will start to perceive that the blind spot is not just a single isolated point. It is a vast territory, an expansive landscape of inner experience that exists beyond the usual filters and limitations of your conscious perception. And once you become familiar with this inner territory, you can learn to enter it at will, even during the day, accessing its rich potential. Try this simple experiment. Sit comfortably, with your back straight but relaxed. Gently close your eyes and bring your attention inward. Begin to observe the natural flow of your thoughts, not engaging with them, not judging them, just watching them pass by like clouds in the sky. Notice the precise moments when one thought ends and another has not yet begun. Those tiny gaps, those brief pauses, are the edges of the blind spot. At first they will be tiny, mere flickers of stillness, but with consistent practice, they will gradually widen, allowing you to linger longer in that profound quiet. You might find that time behaves strangely in these spaces. A single second can stretch into what feels like an eternity, or an entire minute might vanish without a trace. This occurs because the linear sense of time, which we normally rely on in our waking state, is intrinsically tied to the continuous stream of thought. When that stream slows or momentarily stops, time loses its rigid structure, becoming fluid and malleable. And in that formless, timeless space, something else emerges. Not thoughts exactly, but impressions, subtle feelings, vivid images, or sometimes even words spoken in a voice that seems to come from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. These are not hallucinations. They are glimpses of a deeper intelligence, a universal wisdom that is always present, though usually drowned out by the incessant noise and demands of daily life. Some call this the subconscious mind. Others refer to it as the collective unconscious. Still others believe it is a direct channel to higher wisdom or universal consciousness. Whatever name you choose to give it, one thing is clear. When you access it through the blind spot, it feels profoundly personal and deeply universal at the same time. One of the most fascinating aspects of this state is its universal accessibility. It is available to everyone regardless of background, belief system, or prior experience. You don't need special training, expensive equipment, or to adopt any particular dogma. All you need is genuine curiosity and the willingness to look inward, to explore the vast landscape of your own consciousness. Of course, that's often easier said than done. Our modern world conditions us relentlessly to focus outward, to chase external goals, accumulate material experiences, and measure success in external terms. Looking inward can feel uncomfortable, even pointless at first, as it challenges our ingrained habits. But the more you engage in this inner exploration, the more you realize how much richness, wisdom, and potential lies beneath the surface of ordinary perception. In the beginning, your explorations into the blind spot will likely be short and sporadic. You might catch only a fleeting glimpse before being pulled back into the stream of thought. But each time you return, each time you make the effort, you strengthen your ability to stay longer, to linger in that stillness. You build what some traditions call inner muscle, the capacity to remain aware and conscious in states where most people lose conscious contact entirely. Eventually, you may find that you can slip into this profound space even in the middle of a conversation, while walking down a busy street, or during a seemingly mundane task. It becomes less of a deliberate retreat and more of a constant companion, a quiet, steady presence that stays with you even as you navigate the chaos and demands of daily life. This doesn't mean you stop thinking altogether. Thoughts will still arise, but now you see them for what they truly are: passing phenomena, like clouds drifting across the sky. You no longer identify so strongly with them, no longer become entangled in their narratives. You become the observer rather than the thinker, the conscious witness to the mental activity. And that fundamental shift changes everything. From this new vantage point, this expanded awareness, you begin to perceive patterns you couldn't recognize before. You notice how often your actions are driven by old habits, by unexamined beliefs, or by conditioned responses from your past. You start to question whether the way you've always seen things is truly accurate, or simply familiar and comfortable. The blind spot becomes a powerful mirror, reflecting not only the contents of your mind, but also the underlying structures and filters that shape your perception of reality. It reveals the assumptions you carry, the stories you tell yourself about who you are and what is possible, and the unique filters through which you interpret every experience. At times, this process can be unsettling, even disorienting. Confronting the blind spots in your awareness means confronting the blind spots in your identity, challenging the very narrative you've built about yourself. But it also brings immense clarity, because once you've seen the intricate mechanism behind your own thinking, you gain the profound freedom to step outside of it, to choose your responses rather than merely reacting. This is not enlightenment in the grand, final, mystical sense. It's more like a quiet, profound awakening, a recognition that there's infinitely more to your experience than what meets the eye, more than what your conditioned mind tells you. And once you've touched that space, even briefly, you can never quite go back to seeing the world the same way again. So keep returning to the threshold. Keep observing the gaps between thoughts. Keep exploring the space where, paradoxically, nothing is happening, and yet everything is profoundly possible. Because in the blind spot of consciousness, you're not losing awareness. You're gaining access to a deeper, more expansive level of it. And that, perhaps, is the greatest gift of all. The dance of brainwaves, frequencies of perception. Your mind is a dynamic instrument, constantly moving through different states throughout the day, alert, relaxed, drowsy, and dreaming. These shifts are like tuning a radio to different frequencies, each offering a unique kind of perception, a different lens through which to experience reality. If you pay close attention, you'll notice that your thoughts, emotions, and even physical sensations change depending on where your awareness is tuned at any given moment. During the majority of your waking hours, your mind operates primarily in the fast-moving beta wave state. This frequency is perfect for productivity, problem-solving, and active engagement with the external world. Beta waves dominate when you're actively thinking, analyzing, making decisions, or reacting to stimuli. They keep you grounded in your daily tasks, helping you meet deadlines, navigate complex social interactions, and manage the stresses of modern life. However, this high-frequency state often comes with a cost. It can be mentally exhausting and frequently blocks access to deeper levels of insight and intuition. In beta, your attention tends to stay fixed outward. You're constantly scanning for cues, responding to emails, interpreting social signals, and managing a continuous stream of information. While this is essential for functioning effectively in the modern world, it leaves little room for introspection, for connecting with your inner landscape. The internal world becomes background noise, something you only notice when things go wrong or when you feel overwhelmed. But as the day progresses and your activity begins to slow down, so too does your brainwave rhythm. You start to drift into alpha waves, a more relaxed and receptive state where creativity and intuition truly thrive. Alpha is the bridge between waking and dreaming, between actively doing and simply being. It's the state where ideas flow freely, where inspiration strikes seemingly out of nowhere, and where relaxation deepens without a full detachment from reality. This is the state many artists, writers, and innovators describe tapping into when they talk about getting into the zone. Time feels fluid, external distractions fade into the background, and the mind opens like a clear sky after a storm has passed. In alpha, you're still aware of your surroundings, but your relationship to them softens. You become an observer rather than a constant reactor. Alpha waves are also common during light meditation, long contemplative walks in nature, or even while taking a warm, soothing shower. They encourage a profound sense of calm, reduce anxiety, and create mental spaciousness. It's in these moments that insights often surface, not because you were actively trying to think about them, but because your mind has shifted into a frequency that allows new connections to form effortlessly. Deeper still, you enter theta waves, the realm of deep meditation, vivid dreams, and spontaneous insight. Theta is slower than alpha and operates just below the threshold of conscious awareness. It's the gateway to the subconscious mind, a vast reservoir where memories, emotions, symbols, and archetypes reside. Many people report vivid visions, profound downloads of knowledge, or sudden crystal-clear clarity when they consciously enter this space. Theta is also where hypnagogic experiences occur, the fleeting images, sounds, or sensations that arise as you fall asleep. Some call it the dream door, and for good reason. It's here that time stretches and becomes malleable. Logic loosens its rigid grip, and the boundaries between your individual self and the environment begin to dissolve. In theta, you're not just thinking, you're experiencing reality in a more immersive and symbolic way. This state is particularly powerful for deep healing, emotional release, and creative breakthroughs. Traumas stored in the body often begin to surface here, frequently in symbolic form, ready to be acknowledged and integrated. Theta is also where many spiritual seekers report encounters with inner guides, ancestral wisdom, or higher aspects of themselves, though interpretation varies widely based on personal belief systems. Then there's delta, the slowest and most elusive of the brainwave rhythms. Delta waves occur primarily during deep, dreamless sleep and in advanced stages of meditation. Traditionally, this was considered the state of pure unconsciousness, or so we thought. Recent research suggests that delta may also serve as a direct link to universal consciousness, a state where individual identity dissolves entirely and a profound expansive sense of unity emerges. Delta is rare in waking life, but not impossible to reach. Long-term meditators, mystics, and those who practice deep trance work sometimes access delta while fully awake, experiencing a profound sense of oneness. In this state, there is no separation between self and other, no distinction between thought and sensation, no boundary between past and present. It's a return to source, an experience so vast and ineffable that language struggles to contain it. Understanding these brainwave states isn't just academic, it's immensely practical. When you recognize the intricate dance of frequencies happening within you every day, you gain the ability to consciously shift your state at will. You can learn to move from overactive beta into the calmer, more receptive waters of alpha. Then you can dive deeper into theta for insight, healing, or visioning. The key lies in cultivating awareness and clear intention. Most people remain at the mercy of their default rhythms, stuck in anxious beta during the day, feeling exhausted, then falling into fragmented sleep instead of cycling naturally and restoratively through alpha, theta, and delta. But when you begin to observe your own patterns, you can start to gently guide your nervous system into more supportive and beneficial states. Start by noticing when you naturally slip into deeper awareness. Perhaps it's first thing in the morning just before fully waking, or during the twilight hours when the world feels hushed and still. These are natural portals, moments of heightened receptivity. Instead of resisting the shift, lean into it. Allow yourself to linger in the quiet, to explore the subtle nuances of these states. You might find that your best ideas come during these in-between times, or that emotional tensions release more easily when you give yourself permission to slow down and simply be. Whatever arises, treat it as valuable information, not something to fix, but something to understand. Ride the waves of your own consciousness, like a surfer learning to read the ocean. With time, you'll find yourself navigating the currents of your own mind with increasing skill and grace. You'll begin to recognize which states serve which purposes, when to focus and produce, when to relax and receive, when to rest and restore. And perhaps most importantly, you'll discover that the boundaries between these states aren't fixed. They're fluid and permeable. Just as water can shift seamlessly from ice to liquid to vapor, so too can your awareness shift between waking, dreaming, and deep rest. One of the most powerful practices for exploring brainwave transitions is conscious breathwork. By slowing your breathing, lengthening your exhales, and allowing gentle pauses between the inhale and exhale, you can gently coax your brain into lower frequency states. Try this simple technique. Sit comfortably with your back straight, but relaxed. Close your eyes and bring your attention inward. Begin to breathe slowly, in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let each inhale last about 4 seconds and each exhale 6 to 8 seconds. After a few minutes, introduce a gentle 2-second pause at the top of the inhale and at the bottom of the exhale. Don't force anything, just allow your breath to settle into a natural rhythmic flow. Stay with this practice for 10 to 15 minutes, observing how your body and mind respond. You may feel lightheaded at first, which is normal. Your brain is adjusting to a different kind of oxygenation, and all tensions may rise to the surface. But over time, this practice can help you access deeper layers of awareness with surprising ease. Another effective method is guided meditation or using binaural beats, auditory tools specifically designed to entrain the brain into specific frequencies. These can be especially helpful if you're new to exploring altered states and need a bit of support to get started. Whichever path you choose, the goal remains the same: to develop familiarity with the full spectrum of your inner experience, to stop identifying solely with the surface-level chatter of beta waves and rediscover the richness, depth, and wisdom that exists beneath. As you deepen this awareness, you'll also begin to notice how external environments affect your internal state. Noise, light, digital stimulation, all of it influences your brain waves more than you might realize. A brightly lit, overstimulated room tends to keep you locked in beta, while dim lighting, soft music, and minimal distractions help you slip into alpha or theta more easily. So be mindful of your surroundings. Create spaces that support the kinds of inner journeys you want to take, whether it's a quiet corner with a cozy blanket and a candle, or a forest trail where birdsong replaces traffic noise. Design your environment to match your intention. And remember, this isn't about escaping from life. It's about expanding your capacity to live more fully, more consciously. By learning to move consciously between brainwave states, you enhance your creativity, improve your emotional regulation, and open up new pathways of perception and insight. Eventually, you'll find that these shifts happen more effortlessly, no longer requiring special conditions or prolonged effort. You'll be able to access alpha clarity while giving a presentation, drop into theta insight during a stressful meeting, or touch delta peace in the middle of a crowded subway. That's the true power of understanding the dance of brainwaves. Not just to explore the inner world, but to master the art of presence in every layer of existence. So continue tuning in, keep experimenting, and observe what happens when you ride the waves of your own mind. Because the more familiar you become with the rhythm of your inner tides, the more freedom you gain to think clearly, feel deeply, and awaken to the full range of human potential. The guardians of the threshold, inner challenges on the path. As you progress deeper into inner exploration, as your awareness expands and your perception sharpens, you will inevitably begin to notice something unexpected. Resistance. This resistance doesn't necessarily originate from the outside world, from external obstacles or people. More often it arises subtly, yet powerfully, from within your own being. It shows up in various forms: a persistent flicker of doubt, a sudden wave of impatience, or a nagging sense that perhaps this path isn't real after all, that your experiences are mere imagination. These are not random occurrences. They are an intrinsic part of the transformative process. I call them the guardians of the threshold. Internal forces that test your readiness, challenge your commitment, and ultimately, if navigated consciously, strengthen your resolve and deepen your understanding. Think of them as essential checkpoints on a long and arduous journey. Each one must be faced directly, understood deeply, and passed through, not by force or struggle, but by cultivating awareness, compassion, and unwavering presence. These guardians are not trying to stop you or impede your progress. Their purpose is to ensure that you are truly prepared for what lies ahead, for the deeper truths and expanded realities that await you. Let's explore them one by one, understanding their nature and how to navigate their presence. The first guardian is doubt. Doubt is often the very first to appear, creeping in quietly like a shadow stretching across your thoughts, casting a subtle pall over your enthusiasm. You might suddenly start questioning whether any of this inner work is truly real, whether meditation actually yields tangible results, whether your insights are genuinely valid, or whether you are even capable of walking this profound path of awakening. This experience is entirely normal. In fact, it is essential. Doubt is the mind's inherent way of protecting you from delusion, from blindly accepting false premises. It keeps you grounded, prevents you from falling into uncritical faith, and ensures you don't mistake fleeting, superficial experiences for lasting, profound truth. But when left unchecked, when allowed to fester, doubt can become paralyzing. It can keep you perpetually stuck in analysis paralysis, always searching for external validation instead of learning to trust your own direct experience and inner knowing. The key is to recognize doubt for what it truly is, not an enemy to be vanquished, but a wise teacher to be engaged. Instead of pushing it away or resisting its presence, invite it to sit with you. Ask it questions. What exactly are you doubting? Is it the method, or is it myself? Could there be another way to interpret what I've experienced? Over time, through this conscious engagement, doubt transforms into profound discernment, the ability to see clearly, to distinguish truth from illusion, without being swayed by either blind faith or excessive overconfidence. That is its invaluable gift. Once you learn to work with doubt instead of fighting it, it no longer holds power over you. It becomes a tool for clarity. The second guardian is fear. Once doubt begins to settle and its lessons are absorbed, fear often steps forward, presenting a new challenge. But this is not ordinary fear, the kind that warns you of immediate physical danger or harm. This is a more subtle existential form of fear, deeply rooted in the vast unknown that lies beyond your current understanding. It's the profound hesitation you feel before stepping into unfamiliar inner territory, the natural apprehension of the uncharted. It's the quiet voice that whispers, "What if you lose yourself in this process?" Or, "What if everything you've ever believed about yourself and reality turns out to be fundamentally wrong?" Fear arises because genuine growth requires profound change. And profound change inherently means letting go of old patterns, old identities, and old forms of control. As you dive deeper into altered states of consciousness, as you expand your awareness, you inevitably begin to question long-held assumptions about who you are, why you do what you do, and what reality truly is. That can be deeply unsettling. You may find yourself waking up in the middle of the night, gripped by a strange, inexplicable unease. Or during meditation, you might feel a sudden, intense wave of anxiety rise from seemingly nowhere. These are powerful signs that you are touching the very edges of transformation, that your old self is being challenged. Again, fear is not trying to stop you. It is trying to protect you, trying to make sure you are prepared to handle what comes next, to integrate the new insights. The most effective way to move through fear is not by ignoring it, by suppressing it, or by running from it, but by facing it directly with courage and compassion. Sit with it, breathe through it, allow it to speak its concerns without judgment. Often, once you give fear the space to express itself, once you acknowledge its presence, it softens. What seemed overwhelming and terrifying in the dark becomes manageable and clear in the light of your conscious awareness. And when you do this enough times, fear stops being a formidable barrier and begins to become a reliable guide, a signal that you are approaching a threshold worth crossing. A new level of understanding. The third guardian is impatience. After you begin to navigate doubt and fear, impatience often appears. By this stage, you've likely had tantalizing glimpses of what's truly possible. You've touched moments of profound clarity, felt the subtle shift in your awareness, perhaps even seen patterns unfold in ways you couldn't have predicted with your logical mind. And now, quite naturally, you want more, and you want it faster. Impatience is a direct product of our modern conditioning. We live in a culture obsessed with instant results, fast food, quick replies, overnight success stories, rapid gratification. So, when spiritual growth unfolds slowly, sometimes imperceptibly, when profound shifts require consistent effort over time, you can feel deeply frustrated. You may catch yourself asking, when will I finally get it? Or why does this still feel so hard, so slow? This is precisely where discipline meets surrender. Genuine growth cannot be rushed. Like a tiny seed buried in the earth, it needs time to take root, to draw nourishment, to grow silently beneath the surface before it can finally bloom in its full glory. Impatience is not just about wanting immediate results. It's also about resisting the present moment, about being pulled out of your current experience and into an imagined future that doesn't yet exist. To pass through this guardian, you must learn to trust the organic process of unfolding. You must commit to showing up consistently, day after day, even when nothing seems to be happening on the surface, even when progress feels stagnant. You must learn to honor the small, subtle shifts as much as the big, dramatic breakthroughs. Each day you return to your practice, you build momentum, you lay another brick in your foundation. Even if you don't see the immediate results, progress is cumulative, built one breath, one conscious thought, one moment of awareness at a time. Eventually, impatience gives way to true patience, which is not passive waiting, but active presence, an unwavering willingness to stay engaged without needing immediate proof or external validation. And that, my friend, is when the real magic, the profound transformation begins to unfold effortlessly. The fourth guardian is the spiritual ego. Once patience begins to settle deeply within your being, the final guardian appears, and it is arguably the most insidious and subtle of all. This guardian wears a deceptive mask of wisdom, peace, and even enlightenment. It speaks in calm, reassuring tones and offers profound-sounding insights that seem to confirm your progress. This is the spiritual ego. Unlike the previous three guardians which tried to block your path through fear or frustration, the spiritual ego attempts to lure you off course by making you believe you've already arrived, that you've reached the pinnacle of understanding. Suddenly you might begin to feel different from others, special, chosen, perhaps even superior. You start to perceive everyone else as being asleep, lost in illusion, while you alone walk the path of true awakening. This is a dangerous trap. Spiritual ego is not pride in the usual, overt sense. It's a subtle, almost imperceptible inflation of identity that cunningly uses spiritual language and concepts to feed itself. It whispers things like, "I understand things others don't," or "only those who meditate deeply can truly access truth," or "I've transcended ego." Ironically, the very moment you think you've transcended ego is often the moment it is strongest and most active. The spiritual ego thrives on comparison, on exclusivity, and on a sense of superiority disguised as humility or detachment. It creates artificial divisions between the awakened and the unawakened, between higher consciousness and lower vibration. Left unchecked, it inevitably leads to isolation, arrogance, and a distorted sense of self that fundamentally undermines true spiritual growth and genuine connection. The only way through this guardian is through deep grounding, profound humility, and selfless service. Ask yourself, how does my insight truly serve others? Can I hold truth without claiming ownership over it? Am I willing to remain a perpetual student, forever learning, even as I share what I know? True wisdom doesn't elevate you above others. It connects you more deeply to them, fostering empathy and understanding. It recognizes that every person is on their own unique path, unfolding at their perfect pace. When you embrace this profound understanding, the spiritual ego dissolves, not through forceful rejection, but through gentle integration, and a return to genuine humility. You no longer need to prove anything to anyone, including yourself. You simply continue walking your path, passing through each threshold with grace and awareness. Each of these guardians teaches you something essential, something invaluable for your journey. Doubt, when engaged consciously, transforms into discernment. Fear, when faced with courage, transforms into respect for the unknown. Impatience, when surrendered to the flow, transforms into profound patience. And ego, when recognized and integrated, transforms into genuine groundedness and humility. They are not obstacles to be avoided or enemies to be defeated. They are powerful initiations to be welcomed, profound teachers sent to refine your being, and once you've passed through them, something inside you shifts permanently. You no longer rely on external validation for your worth or your path. You no longer chase experiences for their novelty or intensity. You no longer fear the vast unknown. Instead, you carry a quiet, unwavering confidence, born not of intellectual certainty, but of lived experience, of direct knowing. You know, deep in your bones, that the path is real, that profound transformation is truly possible, and that the deepest truths are not found in grand, dramatic revelations, but in the simple, consistent act of showing up again and again, moment by moment. So, when the next challenge arises, and it will, you won't panic. You will recognize it for what it is. Another guardian, another gate, and beyond it, the next stage of your magnificent unfolding, the moment of awakening, a gentle unfolding. One day, perhaps without warning, in a seemingly ordinary moment, something profound shifts within you. You won't be able to fully explain it in words, but you will know, with an unwavering certainty, that it has happened. Some describe it as a subtle click, a sudden alignment. Others refer to it as a quantum leap in consciousness. For you, it might feel like waking up from a very long dream, only to realize with a sense of profound clarity that you've been dreaming all along, and now you are truly awake. At first, the signs of this shift are subtle, almost imperceptible. Colors in the world around you seem brighter, more vibrant, not because the external world has changed, but because your inner eyes, your perception have opened to see its true brilliance. Synchronicities, those strange little coincidences that align too perfectly to be ignored, begin to multiply in your daily life. A name you haven't heard in years suddenly pops up in a conversation, precisely when you needed to remember it for a specific purpose. A book you randomly pick off a shelf opens to a passage that miraculously answers a question you hadn't even consciously formed yet. These are not magical occurrences in the fantastical sense. They are powerful markers of a profound shift in your perception, a heightened attunement to the subtle currents of the universe. As your awareness expands, so too does your ability to notice what was always there, present and available, yet previously hidden beneath the incessant noise and distractions of daily life. Then gradually, the veil lifts, not all at once, like a dramatic stage curtain, but in gentle unfolding layers. It's not a dramatic event like in movies, no lightning bolts or angels descending from the heavens. Instead, it feels deeply personal, almost private, like remembering something incredibly important that you had forgotten for a very, very long time. You begin to see the world with new eyes, not because anything external has changed, but because something profound has awakened and shifted inside you. There is no longer a sharp, rigid division between your individual self and the other, between you and the rest of existence. You begin to sense the subtle flow of energy behind all appearances, the rhythmic pulse beneath the surface of reality. What once felt separate and disconnected now feels deeply interconnected, part of a continuous, living tapestry. You feel more present, not just in your physical body, but fully immersed in the eternal now moment. This is not enlightenment in the final, absolute sense, the ultimate destination. It's more like a magnificent doorway opening, a breathtaking glimpse of something vast, boundless, and infinitely expansive. And once you've seen through that door, once you've touched that profound space, you can never quite go back to who you were before, to seeing the world in the same limited way. But here lies the paradox. The more you search for this moment of awakening, the more you chase it, the more it seems to elude you. It arrives only when you surrender, when you stop chasing and simply allow awakening. doesn't come from trying harder, from striving or forcing. It comes from relaxing into the profound truth that was always available, always present, patiently waiting beneath the noise of thought, the heavy weight of expectation, and the relentless rush of daily life. And that's why most people miss it. They keep looking outward, believing they need to do something more, achieve something extraordinary, or become someone different. But awakening isn't about becoming. It's about unbecoming. It's about gently letting go of the illusions we carry, the false identities we've adopted, until only what's real, what's true, remains. That's also why it often happens in quiet, unassuming moments, while walking in nature, while washing dishes mindfully, while simply watching the rainfall. It's not dependent on special conditions or elaborate spiritual practices, though those may certainly prepare the ground and cultivate receptivity. It arises naturally, spontaneously when the mind is still enough, when the heart is open enough to receive it. Some describe it as seeing clearly for the very first time, as if a fog has lifted. Others say it's like returning home after a long, arduous journey, finding a sense of belonging and peace. Whatever metaphor best fits your experience, one thing is certain: nothing looks quite the same afterward. You begin to notice how much of your experience was shaped by assumptions you never questioned, by narratives you blindly accepted. You see how many decisions were driven by old fears, by unconscious conditioning. You recognize how often you mistook fleeting thoughts for absolute truth. With awakening comes a profound clarity, not just intellectual understanding, but an embodied knowing, a truth felt deep in your bones. You don't just believe something is true, you feel it, your whole being aligns with it. And this profound alignment brings a new kind of peace. Not the temporary relief of getting what you want, but a deep, unwavering stillness that remains even in the face of chaos, even amidst life's challenges. Because now you know, deep in your core, that you are not just your body, not just your thoughts, not just your past. You are something far greater, an eternal, conscious presence, witnessing the magnificent unfolding of life. This realization doesn't erase suffering, nor does it make you invulnerable to pain. You will still feel pain, loss, and confusion. But now there's space around those experiences. You no longer get swept away by them, no longer drown in their intensity. You witness them, hold them with compassion, and allow them to pass through you. This is the beginning of true freedom, and here's another surprise. Awakening unfolds in layers. Each time you think you've reached the peak, a new horizon opens, revealing even vaster landscapes of consciousness. It's not a single definitive event, but a lifelong unfolding, a continuous process of becoming. You might wake up one morning feeling completely transformed, only to find yourself struggling with the same old patterns a few days later. That's normal. Integration takes time. Old conditioning doesn't vanish overnight, just because you've seen the bigger picture. In fact, the deeper the awakening, the more intense the integration process, because now every part of you is being asked to align with the profound truth you've glimpsed. Every belief, every habit, every relationship is brought into the light of awareness. Some things will shift easily, others will resist, but each time you return to presence, each time you choose awareness, you reinforce the new way of being. Eventually the insights settle into your nervous system. They become part of your very foundation. And as they do, your life begins to change. Not because you forced it to, but because you became someone profoundly different. Someone who sees more clearly, feels more deeply, and lives more intentionally. You start making choices that reflect your truest values, not just conditioned responses. You relate to others with more openness and less fear. You trust yourself more than ever before. This is the real work of awakening. Not the moment of insight itself, but what you do with it afterward, how you embody it in your daily life. So don't expect a permanent high. Don't look for constant ecstasy or uninterrupted bliss. Real awakening is quieter, subtler, yet infinitely more profound. It's found in ordinary moments lived with extraordinary awareness. It's the ability to stay grounded while seeing. 3. Clearly, to feel deeply without losing yourself, to move through the world with both profound wisdom and childlike wonder. If this path has stirred something in you, know that you've only just begun. There's so much more to uncover, so many mysteries waiting patiently to reveal themselves. Stay curious, Stay committed, and above all, don't miss what comes next. Navigating the deep waters, time, discernment, and grounding. Once your inner vision truly awakens, once those subtle channels of perception open, you begin to notice that time itself behaves strangely. Moments can stretch, shrink, or even overlap in ways that defy linear logic. You may receive profound insights that seem to span lifetimes, all within a matter of seconds. Synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences, become so frequent and precise that they can no longer be dismissed as mere chance. At first, this can feel disorienting, even a little unsettling. You might catch yourself wondering, did that really happen? Was it a dream, or did I actually perceive that in my waking state? But with time, through consistent observation, you realize something profoundly important. Time, as you once understood it, a fixed, linear progression, is not fixed at all. It's fluid, malleable, especially when your consciousness begins to expand beyond its usual confines. You start to perceive events before they fully unfold in the physical realm, not in a literal, rigid, predictive way, but in a felt sense, a knowing that arises without any logical explanation. You might walk into a room and already have an intuitive sense of who will speak next, or what the general mood is. You pick up a book and effortlessly flip to a passage that directly answers a question you hadn't even consciously asked aloud. These are not magical occurrences in the realm of fantasy. They are clear signs that you're moving through deeper layers of awareness, that your perception is expanding beyond the five senses. And with this profound expansion comes a significant responsibility, the need to distinguish between symbolic visions and direct, literal perception. Just as your physical eyes differentiate between a tree and its reflection in a pond, your inner vision reveals multiple layers of reality. Some experiences come as metaphors, as symbolic messages, while others are direct, unvarnished insights. Learning the difference takes consistent practice, keen observation, and above all, unwavering honesty with yourself. This is precisely where many seekers, in their enthusiasm, can get lost. They mistake powerful symbolism for literal truth, or confuse intense emotional experiences with profound spiritual depth. One moment they're receiving gentle guidance from an inner voice, and the next they're convinced they've been chosen for a cosmic mission of epic proportions. The line between genuine insight and subtle delusion can blur quickly if you're not careful, if you lack discernment. So, how do you stay grounded amidst these expansive experiences? By developing an internal anchor, a stable, unwavering sense of self that remains rooted even as your awareness expands into uncharted territories. This anchor is forged through consistent spiritual practice, honest self-observation, and a deep, abiding trust in your evolving perception. It doesn't mean suppressing what arises or denying your experiences. It means learning how to hold space for them, how to witness them without being overwhelmed or swept away by their intensity. Think of it like diving into deep water. If you swim out too far without knowing how to return, without understanding the currents, you risk losing your way, becoming disoriented. But if you learn to read the currents, if you build your endurance, and if you always keep sight of the shore, you can explore freely, venturing into the depths while staying safe and connected. The same principle applies here. As you move deeper into your inner world, pay close attention to how your physical body responds. Physical sensations often serve as crucial indicators of what's real and what might be more of a projection. If an insight brings a profound sense of clarity, peace, and calm, it's likely aligned with truth. If it stirs confusion, anxiety, or a sense of agitation, it may be more of a projection from your subconscious than a direct perception of reality. Also, pay attention to how your relationships shift. As your awareness grows, so does your sensitivity to the subtle energies around you. You begin to pick up on things others don't. You might hear unspoken tensions in conversations, sense underlying emotions before words are spoken, or feel the energy of a room upon entering it. Some people will respond positively to this change in you. They'll appreciate your presence, seek your counsel, and grow alongside you, finding inspiration in your journey. Others, however, may feel uncomfortable, even threatened by your expanded awareness. They might pull away, challenge your perspective, or try to drag you back into old familiar patterns. That's perfectly okay. Not everyone walks the same path at the same pace. Your job isn't to convince them or to change, it's to remain steady in your own truth, to honor your path with integrity. To navigate this new expanded terrain, it is crucial to establish daily grounding rituals. These could include morning intention setting. Take a few quiet minutes each morning to center yourself, to connect with your breath and your purpose, before stepping into the demands of the day. Body scans. Regularly check in with your physical sensations throughout the day, ensuring you're not dissociating from the present moment or from your physical form. Journaling. Write down what you experience, especially after meditation or moments of heightened awareness. This practice helps integrate insights, track patterns over time, and bring clarity to your inner world. Nature immersion. Spend dedicated time outdoors. Nature has an inherent way of recalibrating your nervous system and reconnecting you to the fundamental rhythms of life, anchoring you in the tangible. Mindful movement. Practices like yoga, tai chi, or walking meditation help keep your energy flowing, prevent stagnation, and integrate your expanded awareness into your physical being. These practices act as your compass, your anchor. They remind you that while inner vision is incredibly powerful, it must be balanced with outer presence, with full engagement in the tangible world. Otherwise, you risk becoming so absorbed in the unseen that you lose touch with the beauty and lessons of everyday life. Another key part of navigating the deep waters is learning how to interpret what you receive. Not every message, not every insight is meant to be acted upon immediately. Some are simply invitations to observe, to reflect, and to allow understanding to unfold naturally, in its own perfect time. Be especially cautious with prophetic or visionary experiences. They can feel compelling, even urgent, but rushing to share or act on them without deep discernment and careful consideration can lead to missteps or misunderstandings. Let them settle. Give them time to reveal their true meaning and purpose. And remember, just because something feels profound to you doesn't mean it's meant for everyone, or that it needs to be broadcast immediately. Some truths are deeply personal, others are universal. Learn to tell the difference. Above all, resist the urge to label everything as spiritual or not spiritual. In the deep waters, such rigid distinctions begin to dissolve. What truly matters is whether an experience brings greater alignment, clarity, compassion, and joy into your life, not whether it fits within any particular framework or belief system. As your perception continues to evolve, you'll find that even ordinary moments begin to carry extraordinary significance. A fleeting glance across a crowded room, a bird landing on your windowsill, a forgotten song playing at just the right time. These small synchronicities become the language of the universe, speaking directly to you, confirming your path. And in those moments, you won't need elaborate explanations. You'll simply know. Navigating the deep waters isn't about reaching some final static destination. It's about learning how to live with expanded awareness without losing your footing in the practicalities of life. It's about holding both profound mystery and grounded practicality in balance, seeing clearly while still showing up fully and authentically in your everyday existence. So keep going, stay curious, trust your inner compass, and most importantly, stay grounded, because the greatest discoveries aren't made in isolation. They're lived moment by moment, in the quiet unfolding of a life, deeply seen and profoundly experienced. Return and integration, embodying the awakened self. The true challenge, the profound work, begins after the initial moments of awakening and insight. It is the process of bringing that expanded awareness back into your daily life. What good is a glimpse of vast, boundless consciousness if it only exists in the quiet solitude of meditation or in the ethereal realms of your dreams? You may have touched something immense, something beyond thought, beyond linear time, beyond your usual sense of self, and for a while you might feel a powerful temptation to stay there, lingering in that space of profound clarity and stillness, detached from the mundane. But eventually you must return. You must come back to the world of bills, deadlines, complex relationships, and daily routines. That, my friend, is where the true work of integration begins. Not in the dramatic moment of insight itself, but in how you carry that insight forward, how you embody it in every interaction, every decision, every breath. Integration means living in both worlds at once, seeing clearly with your inner vision yet functioning normally and effectively in the external world, feeling deeply connected to the universal yet staying grounded in your physical reality, using your profound insights to make better choices, to connect more authentically with others, and to live a life of deeper purpose and meaning. It's not about becoming someone entirely new, someone unrecognizable. It's about becoming more fully yourself, shedding layers of illusion, releasing resistance, and moving through life without unnecessary struggle. At first, this integration process can be difficult, even frustrating. The mind, accustomed to its old patterns, often resists change, especially when it challenges long-standing habits and beliefs. You may find yourself slipping back into old behaviors, old thought patterns. Even after profound and transformative experiences, you'll catch fleeting glimpses of clarity, then feel inexplicably pulled back into confusion or doubt. That's entirely normal. Growth is not linear, it's a spiral. You will circle around the same lessons, the same challenges, until they settle deeply within you, until they are truly integrated into your being. So don't expect perfection. Expect progress, sometimes slow, sometimes rapid. Expect setbacks, moments of doubt, followed by sudden illuminating breakthroughs. One of the most effective ways to support this integration process is through consistent reflection. Keep a journal dedicated to your inner journey. Record your experiences, your insights, and most importantly, how they affect your behavior, your reactions, and your choices in daily life. Track patterns, not just what you saw or felt during meditation, but how that awareness shows up in your interactions, your decisions, and your emotional responses throughout the day. This kind of diligent documentation helps you recognize the subtle shifts and transformations that might otherwise go unnoticed. It gives you a living map of your inner terrain, a way to trace how insights evolve and deepen over time. For example, you may notice that after a particularly deep meditation session, you respond differently to stress. Instead of reacting immediately with anxiety, you pause, take a breath, and choose a more conscious response. Or instead of getting caught up in frustration, you see the situation with more clarity and compassion. These are powerful signs that the shift is settling into your nervous system, becoming an embodied wisdom. Another important part of integration is learning how to share selectively. Not every truth, not every profound insight needs to be spoken aloud immediately. Some insights are best kept private, allowed to marinate within you until the right moment arises, or perhaps never shared at all. There will be people in your life who resonate deeply with your journey, who are open to learning from your experiences. There will also be those who misunderstand, dismiss, or even mock what you've experienced, simply because it falls outside their current framework of understanding. That's perfectly okay. Not everyone walks the same path, and not everyone is ready for the same truth. Be discerning about who you open up to. Choose wisely, sharing only what feels safe, appropriate, and genuinely helpful. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply embody your understanding, radiating your inner peace and clarity without needing to explain or justify it. Above all, stay balanced. Expand your awareness, explore the depths, but remain firmly rooted in the present moment. Let your inner vision enhance your life, enrich your experience, but never allow it to become an escape from the responsibilities and joys of the tangible world. You might begin to notice that your perception of time changes even more profoundly. Moments stretch, ordinary events take on new, profound meaning. You become more attuned to the subtle rhythm of life, less caught up in its surface-level chaos and distractions. This doesn't mean you stop experiencing difficulty or pain. Life will still bring challenges, loss, and uncertainty. But now you meet these challenges with a different kind of presence. One that sees beyond the immediate discomfort, one that holds space for deeper understanding, for the lessons embedded within the experience. And this presence becomes your unshakable anchor. To strengthen this anchor, continue practicing mindfulness in every aspect of your daily life. Don't limit your awareness to formal meditation sessions. Bring it into your meals, into your conversations, into your movements, into every mundane task. Learn to be fully present in each moment, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant. Try this simple exercise. Pick one activity you do every day. brushing your teeth, washing dishes, walking to work. For the next week, commit to doing that activity with full, undivided attention. Notice the sensations in your body, listen to the sounds around you, feel the movement of your breath. Resist the urge to multitask or to drift into thought. After a few days, you'll likely notice a significant shift, a greater sense of calm, a deeper connection to what's happening right now, a profound appreciation for the simple act. This is integration in action, weaving awareness into the fabric of your existence. As you continue integrating your insights, you may also find that your relationships begin to change organically. Some connections will deepen, becoming more authentic and meaningful as you show up more fully and truly. Others may gently fade as you outgrow old dynamics, or as they no longer serve your highest growth. This is a natural part of the process. As your awareness expands, so too does your ability to discern what truly serves your growth and what no longer does. You begin to set clearer boundaries, you speak more honestly. From a place of truth, you choose genuine connection over obligation or superficiality, and in doing so, you create space for more meaningful, aligned relationships to emerge in your life. Don't rush this process. Integration takes time. You're literally rewiring neural pathways, shifting deeply ingrained emotional patterns, and redefining your very sense of identity. It's not something that happens overnight, but with patience, consistency, and profound compassion for yourself, it unfolds naturally, gracefully. Eventually, you reach a point where the extraordinary becomes ordinary, not because it loses its wonder, but because your definition of normal has grown to encompass it. You no longer need special conditions or elaborate rituals to access depth and insight. You can be fully present in a crowded room, in a stressful meeting, or even in the midst of heartbreak, and still touch that quiet knowing inside, that unwavering stillness. That's the mark of true integration. Not constant ecstasy, not endless enlightenment, but the profound ability to hold space for both light and shadow, for joy and sorrow, for insight and confusion. And perhaps most importantly, you learn that spiritual growth isn't about reaching some final fixed destination. It's about discovering infinite ways to explore, to evolve, and to live more fully, more consciously in every single moment. The final paradox: the ordinary becomes extraordinary. Here's the profound truth you'll eventually realize on this journey. The more extraordinary your experiences become, the more ordinary they begin to feel. Not because they lose their inherent wonder, but because your very definition of normal expands, growing to encompass them. At first, every new insight, every glimpse of expanded awareness feels monumental, a revelation of epic proportions. You wake up from meditation with a sense of awe, convinced you've touched something sacred, something divine. You walk through the world seeing intricate patterns and connections where before there was only noise and chaos. You feel fundamentally different, as if you've stepped outside of linear time or glimpsed the hidden architecture behind reality itself. But over time, those moments of profound insight stop feeling like isolated revelations and start feeling like an intrinsic part of who you are, woven into the fabric of your everyday existence. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. You struggle at first, wobbling, falling, unsure if you'll ever get it right. Then, suddenly, one day you just know how to balance. And after that, riding becomes second nature, effortless, a natural extension of your being. That's precisely what happens with inner vision and expanded awareness. What once felt mystical, elusive, or even supernatural begins to feel practical, accessible, and deeply natural. What once required hours of dedicated meditation becomes accessible in a single conscious breath. The insights you once chased with fervent desire now arrive uninvited, spontaneously woven seamlessly into the fabric of your daily life. And here's the greatest revelation of all: there is no longer a sharp, rigid separation between the mystical and the mundane. Everything begins to blend into a continuous flowing stream of awareness, insight, and profound presence. You begin to see that spirituality isn't something you do, it's something you are. It's not reserved for mountaintop retreats, elaborate ceremonies, or specific hours of practice. It's present in the way you mindfully drink your morning coffee, in the way you truly listen to someone without interrupting, in the conscious pause you take before reacting in a moment of tension. Spirituality becomes less about reaching higher states and more about living fully, consciously, and authentically in the present moment. This doesn't mean you stop growing. On the contrary, you grow more deeply, more subtly, more continuously than ever before. Your journey no longer revolves around dramatic awakenings or sudden jarring shifts. Instead, it unfolds in quiet, persistent ways, cultivating a deeper patience, a greater clarity, a steadier, more unwavering presence. You find yourself less concerned with proving anything to anyone, including yourself. You no longer need to label experiences as spiritual or not spiritual. You simply live with more awareness, more compassion, and more profound alignment with your true self. And that, in itself, becomes its own kind of awakening, a quiet, embodied understanding. One of the most surprising parts of this stage is how little you feel the need to talk about it. There's no longer a need to announce your progress or explain your transformation to others. The changes happen so naturally, so organically, even you might forget they were ever different. You will still have challenging days. You will still feel tired, frustrated, or lost at times. But now there's a background hum of knowing, a quiet certainty that everything is unfolding exactly as it should, even in the midst of chaos. This is the final paradox. Enlightenment or true awakening doesn't look like what you thought it would. It doesn't erase suffering or remove difficulty from your life. It simply gives you the profound space, the inner capacity to meet life with grace, with presence, even when things fall apart, even when challenges arise. Because now you understand that nothing is permanent, not joy, not pain, not even your current understanding of reality. All of it shifts, all of it passes, all of it transforms. And yet, beneath all the change, something remains constant, a timeless presence that watches without judgment, a stillness that holds everything in its embrace, a knowing that says, with unwavering certainty, you belong here, you are home. This realization settles into your bones. It becomes your foundation, your inner compass, your true home. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this path is that it never truly ends. Every day brings new opportunities to deepen, to refine, and to apply what you've learned. It's not about reaching a final destination, a fixed point of arrival. It's about discovering infinite ways to explore, to evolve, and to live more fully in every moment. Some days you'll uncover something completely new, a fresh insight. Other days you'll revisit an old lesson and finally understand it in a way you couldn't before, seeing its deeper meaning. Growth isn't always forward. It often spirals, circling back to familiar ground with fresh eyes and a new perspective. But each turn of the spiral brings you closer to wholeness, to integration, to your true self. So don't rush, don't force, don't measure yourself against anyone else's timeline or expectations. Your journey is uniquely yours, unfolding at the perfect pace for you. If this path has stirred something in you, if these words have resonated with a truth deep within, know that you've only just begun. There's so much more to uncover, so many mysteries waiting patiently to reveal themselves. Stay curious, stay committed, and above all, don't miss what comes next. Because the greatest discoveries aren't made in isolation. They are lived moment by moment, in the quiet, profound unfolding of a life deeply seen. And yours, my friend, is still unfolding. So keep going. There's still so much more to discover.